the fuck are you
Yeah.
doing? Like
what are you getting out of it?
Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg Podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hi there!
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to another episode of the SaVeg Podcast.
Yes, episode
A million.
1,000,001. Hope y'all are having a fantastic week.
Yeah, my week's a bit
Let me guess, hectic.
hectic as always. God damn, I'm so bored of saying it's hectic.
Do you have another trip that you're unprepared for, Rose?
Yes, actually, I do. It's coming up in a couple weeks.
Oh, god damn.
In a couple weeks. God damn, seriously.
Better get prepared, Rose.
Oh,
Take
Anyways.
a few days, you know?
you know what? I've just accepted that my life is always going to be chaotic unless I decide to move to the countryside and do nothing. Which I don't see myself doing that anytime soon.
No, this is true. This is true. I mean, this is the thing. We say our lives are hectic, right?
Hectic?
And they are, but also part of it is like what we bring on ourselves in the
Yes.
sense that like...
like we discussed last time.
Exactly. But also like, for example, if I'm super busy and like I'm behind on everything, like in reality, I could take a couple days off work. I have PTO. I could take a couple days
Right.
over the weekend. I could take 4 or 5 days, not see anyone, not do anything, and just get caught up on all my life stuff.
So should
if
I do
really
that?
wanted to.
So are you saying that I should do that?
Maybe we both need to.
Oh, God damn.
Take that
Daniels.
time, take a couple days where literally
see anybody?
not see anyone, get
Ugh.
caught up with everything.
Ugh. Fine.
It's just a suggestion.
Maybe I will.
You don't have to do it, Rose.
Maybe I will.
Just be a suggestion. I know you don't. I know you don't like to listen to me, so you know.
A day is too short. I need an extra few hours a day and an extra 2 days a week.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? Yeah. Anyway, guys, we have 3 new patrons, which is amazing. So if you guys don't know, we have, of course, our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/thesavagepodcast. You get bonus content every single month only for Patreon members. You get ad-free content and every single episode a week earlier than everybody else. So make sure you join. And you also get a little shout out.
We're giving thanks to Demi Sam,
Carrie,
and Alina.
thank you guys so much for joining our Patreon. Guys, once again, check it out. Patreon.com/thesavagepodcast. The link is always in the description and the show notes. Yep. Now let's get started with the story. Well, first of all, Daniel, you wanted to talk about a show.
Oh, I did. Okay. So
there's a show that's been blowing up. I have not watched it.
So guys, the show that we're talking about, the show that I want to talk about, and there might be some spoilers.
Daniel, don't tell us spoilers.
Because you haven't seen it, have you?
I haven't seen it, and other people may not have seen it.
But then it's like,
can you not talk about it without saying spoilers?
Yes, I can kind of.
Okay, generally, why do you like it so much? Why is it so popular?
Okay, so I'll talk to you a few things, okay? And this is not giving you spoilers because I'm not going to tell you what happened, but I'll tell you why it's such a powerful story. First of all,
you haven't said what show it is.
The show is called Baby Reindeer.
Baby Reindeer.
I can't do it. Like one of the characters
are they Scottish?
A few of them are Scottish.
Of course they are.
Very strong Scottish accents.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my flatmate is also Scottish.
Yes.
And I was totally bugging him, but like this one lady, I will not ruin, but I will say this one part. She refers to this guy as Baby Reindeer.
Sure.
Like, right. She's always like, oh, Baby Reindeer, and it's like a cute name that she's kind of like calling him. So I turned to my flatmate. I was like, is that a Scottish thing? Like, do you guys just go around calling each other Baby Reindeer? And he's like, no, it's not. I'm like, people are going to think it after the show.
So why is it called Baby Reindeer, or is that a spoiler?
No. So the reason it's called Baby Reindeer is because one of the characters refers to the main character as a baby reindeer.
Oh, okay. So that's okay.
And not just baby reindeer. She calls him reindeer and all this other stuff, right?
So this show, I've seen people talk about this. I haven't actually I haven't delved into it.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what it's about, but it seems to be blowing up.
It's okay. So I'll tell you why I love it. So it's very well done. It's kind of like you're going through somebody's life, but they're also commenting on it. The main actor, and again, this isn't giving away too much, I hope. The main actor is actually everything that happens in this story is what really happened to the main actor.
Okay.
So it's like almost like a story of his life.
Okay.
And it is crazy AF.
Oh, really?
Like, it is actually, and like,
how many episodes?
I think there's like 8, I think maybe
8 episodes. Okay.
Yeah, and it's honestly, I feel like, I just don't want to say too much because then I'm going to give away some key parts. But like, it's just done. It's done so well, and there's some things that.
Is it a thriller?
It's not really a thriller. It's like, it's very dark. I'll tell you that.
Really?
Right now. It's super dark, and it's like actually like a little bit depressing. But
of course you love it, Daniel. You love a depressing, dark ass fuck show.
I'm in my depressing era. Okay.
You're in your depressed era.
I'm in my depressed era.
Daniel, you're not in your depressed era.
I know. I'm just kidding, guys. No, but I do. I just find it fascinating. The story was so good. The narration was so good. I don't know. I just really.
Well, a lot of people seem to agree with you.
Yeah, and it's like it's been number 1 on Netflix for a bit, I think, too.
God damn, I'm so behind.
I know. Well,
I don't have time to watch the show.
I know you don't. You got to take time off
Lord
and
Jesus.
finish your work, Rose. But there's a part that I want to say.
I know you want to talk about it so bad.
But it's like, essentially, it's as if you're a victim of a certain crime, and it like really kind of goes through what that person would go through.
Okay.
I won't tell you what the crime is.
Okay.
I won't tell you any of this stuff, but like, it's so well done, and it
kind of like makes you empathize with
100%,
because it makes you feel like you are experiencing the experience.
Exactly. And you start to realize like the things that they're doing is all related to what happened.
Right.
Because at first you're kind of like, oh, this person's like a little bit like,
right.
You know, I don't know. I don't
doing like shitty things or whatever.
Yeah. Like a bit of a pushover, a bit of this, a bit of that. And then it all starts to fall together. And you're just like, at the end, you're like, holy fuck. Once you watch it, we'll like debrief. Okay. Because the end
Do we need a debrief session?
I think we do.
Okay.
Because there's so many messages in there. There's so many like things. I don't know. I loved it, guys.
I need to
honestly,
watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of the better series I've seen in a little while. So
there's another movie on Netflix now. This one's a movie, I think. It's like a documentary, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it's about this Asian girl this is actually Canadian. It's a true crime documentary. Okay, you should watch it. I don't know what it's called on Netflix, but there's a girl. Jennifer Lamb or something.
Oh, I saw it.
Of course you did. Did you know about that story?
No.
So if you guys don't know, there's this girl. Like I already know the whole
what
story.
Jennifer did or something.
Yes,
Isn't that what it's called?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, this girl, she was a teenager, and I think she was like in her early 20s when the case happened. But essentially, she came from this like Asian family. I think her parents were like Vietnamese or something. Yeah. So, and she came from very kind of strict parents. So basically,
which I think is common in a lot of Asian households.
Yeah, it's like pretty common. Yeah. And like oftentimes they're referred to as like tiger parents. Yeah. Where basically they're like very, very strict on their kids and it's almost too much, right? Yeah. And basically what happened was she hired hitmen to kill her parents. And I mean, I don't know if I'm just giving away spoilers. You are giving away, but I mean, I already know this story, okay? And you're probably going to like, I don't know. Was it like a shock when you watched it? No. It's pretty obvious, right?
It was pretty obvious from the beginning. It's kind of like even her story things didn't seem to be adding up. And it just seemed very like sketchy. So I was like,
So this happened like many years ago, I think. But yeah, basically she like hired hitmen to like kill her parents, and then it was like a whole thing. And this like story obviously was like a huge story, and people started talking about it, you know, in the context of like tiger parenting and whether or not it was like justified. I mean, obviously nobody thinks it's like justified. Of course not. But I'm just like, okay, like I understand to a certain degree.
Yeah, I think the thing is that they were putting so much pressure on her. Yes. And you know, obviously it's hard. Like nobody, unless you're in that situation, will like know exactly what that's like. But like your parents are putting this extreme pressure on you to be successful, to do all this stuff. They don't want you dating. They're really controlling your life. And it's like, it's hard because like these are your parents at the same time. So it's like, but does that justify getting them killed? That's such an extreme measure. I'm like, you know,
it's like cut off your parents, move out. She was above the age of 18.
Exactly. There's
she
so
could
many
have
things
done so many things.
Exactly. There's so many steps before. It's like, you know what? As hard as it is, like if your parents are fucking gone, you can't do these things. But like, you know, maybe have a conversation with your parents. And if that doesn't go well, you have the option to move out. You can do all of these other things because she was like also attending university, but not.
Yeah, she was already doing sketchy shit from the beginning.
100% sketchy stuff. She was like leaving the house every day and saying that she's studying at this school and then would come back and like pretend to be like studying even though she never went.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, you're building up this huge fabrication of a lie. And I know it's hard to tell the truth and I know it's scary, but like, is that not easier than fucking getting your parents killed?
Yeah, well, obviously she's like messed up in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when people are like, oh yeah, like I kind of get it. I'm like, no, you don't. That is not a normal response. Like,
No.
Again, she probably had some psychological issues for sure. And I'm sure that the parenting didn't help. But at the end of the day, it's like, this is not a normal response.
Well, and this is the thing. There's so many things you could have done up until that point. And it just like pisses me off because like so many of these like crime like documentaries and stuff that will focus on like the parents were killed or like the partner was killed. And it's like there's so many things or steps the other person could have done before going to that extreme.
What kills me the most is like, when it's like a romantic partner, when it's like married, when people are married and they kill their significant other. And I'm like, again, divorce is an option.
Exactly.
Okay?
There are other options that exist.
Why don't you divorce? Like, I get it. Like, you know, marriages aren't always fun and games, and I get you want to end your marriage.
Yeah.
Divorce.
Exactly.
Why do you kill them?
Exactly. Because I'm thinking to myself, like, I obviously people that are taking this as extreme, they probably have some mental health issues or something. Because you think of it logically, and you're like, okay, what is the path of least resistance, right?
Yeah.
If I fucking kill my partner, chances are I'm going to go to jail.
Well, I think they're so narcissistic or they're so crazy that they think that they can get away with it.
Right.
And we actually, to be fair, we don't know the statistics of how many people get away with it.
Right.
So it's hard to know.
Yeah.
But some of the people, I mean, obviously the ones that get caught, we learn about the stories.
Right.
And some of the stories are just like, how did you think that this was gonna, you know,
happen?
That you were gonna get away with this? Because it's just so obvious. Like oftentimes, for example, like one of the motives would be like a life insurance policy, right? So like oftentimes, and this happens so often that it like baffles me. It's like, oh, like a week before the husband
took out
died,
a higher premium.
They like up the payout for the life insurance, or you know, a year before they, you know, started having an affair and got like a change to the life insurance, and you're just like, what, like, you know, like, fuck, wait a few years at least. God damn. I mean, don't kill your spouse, but like, holy shit, how stupid are you?
But this is the thing. I even think, okay, so there's the part of like, again, going back to the path of least resistance. It's like, okay, maybe they think they're not going to get caught, but still, you have to go through killing somebody. That's a lot of like fucking work and like shit that you have to do that's actually really scary and like crazy versus, okay, it might be really shitty and complicated to get a divorce, but I feel like that's the easier option.
Well, that's probably not what they're thinking. They think it's easier to kill them than divorce.
Which is insane.
I mean, it's obviously insane. I mean, I've never thought of killing someone.
True.
So I don't know where that mindset goes, but I'm thinking that if you have it in your mind that you think it's okay to kill someone, then you might actually think it is easier to kill someone than to divorce. Because divorce is complicated, right? Like, again, it is not better, obviously. Never kill anybody, okay? But like divorce, obviously you have to like, you know, get a lawyers involved. It's expensive. You have to go through court. It's not easy to get divorced. Right. So if you already have it in your mind that you are capable of killing somebody, then you probably think killing someone is easier.
Right.
But it's like, I don't understand how anyone could get to that like place.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. It's like, just fucking divorce. Like, what is wrong with you people?
And I don't know how you could get like, I could see getting angry with it because like I've been angry with people before, like frustrated and all this stuff, but never once was I like, I need to fucking kill them.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Well, usually they come from.
Get to?
Yeah, they probably come from like broken backgrounds. Usually, sometimes they don't, which is like baffling.
I feel like there is like they say that there's like profiling that you can do for certain people that, you know, do these types of things, but there are anomalies, right? Like there's people that it's like nobody saw it coming. It was like such a shocker. There's people that definitely break that mold. Yeah. So it's just hard to say. Like it's
a lot of people that are married and then they like cheat on their spouse. That is also like a common thing where not common, but like, you know, their spouse dies and it turns out, oh, there was an affair going on. Again, so fucking obvious.
I know, you're like,
if you're having an affair, that shit's gonna come out when your spouse dies.
Of course.
And you're gonna be suspect number one.
Of course.
What are you thinking?
Like it's like these people, I do think you're right. I think there's a level of narcissism where they think that they're so smart and they're just above it all. Yeah. They think, hey, I'm having this affair. First of all, I don't think I'm gonna get caught having this affair. Secondly, if I off my wife or partner,
oh god,
and I end up with the person I was having the affair with, no one's gonna suspect me because that's not fucking obvious.
Yeah.
Like it's like they have no like self-reflection.
Yeah, oh god, it's so crazy.
Yeah. Because like you just take one step back and you're right. Most sane people are like, okay, if I increase my life insurance policy, within the last couple of weeks, if I'm having a cheating on my spouse and I really want to divorce and move to the other, move in with the other spouse or the affairee or what?
Can you talk?
I can't with the mistress.
Yes.
And then I think to myself, well, a great option is to kill my partner.
Yeah.
No one will suspect me.
Yeah.
It's like,
what's the other term for mistress for the man? Is there a term? Wow, there's no term.
Mister? No.
No. That's kind of crazy.
It is kind of, well, yeah.
I can't think of the term.
There must be a term. Guys, help us out here. What is the term for like the other man? You have the other woman. You have the,
wow.
mistress. You're right. I can't even think of the word. Is there a word? I
guess it's assumed that women don't cheat.
God damn, everyone.
Anyways,
everyone is capable of cheating.
I guess I need to watch Baby Reindeer.
You do.
Am I going to go into a dark, dark place?
No. But it is very dark. But like, just the thing that I think that's the intense part is like everything that happened. Well, not everything. Obviously, there's probably some elaboration, but like the storyline is based on the person's real life.
Okay. Gonna watch it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Shall we jump into some of the stories?
We shall. And shall we jump into the very first one? That be crazy as all hell.
Which one, Daniel?
This one.
Okay, so I saw this on TikTok.
Yeah, this is going viral, by the way.
This is going viral because it's so creepy.
Yeah.
So there was a guy that, young looking gentleman. He looks, how old is he? Can you scroll down? He was 21-year-old. Okay, so basically the video that went viral is some woman that was in her local Target.
Yeah.
She was in a store shopping around, and I guess she saw this guy.
She noticed him,
She noticed this like 21-year-old man getting like really close to, oh no, so this is the other person. So basically, so this woman was like shopping and she noticed this man like getting really close to her.
Yeah.
And so obviously that's like really fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So then she starts moving and then this man is like moving along with her.
Yeah.
And then like, just like being a bit creepy.
Yeah.
Another woman that was shopping started filming him.
Just in case. Like,
just
she was
in
like,
case.
What?
And then she catches him.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
It's so bad. She catches the guy taking his phone and like when the original woman was like, crouching down to pick something up.
Yeah,
she's like wearing like a skirt.
Yeah, she's wearing a skirt, crouching down. She's like on her like not on her hands and knees, but like crouching to like look
pick
at the
something
bottom
up.
shelf.
Yeah, exactly. From the bottom shelf.
Yeah.
And then as soon as she does that, he takes his phone, puts it under her skirt.
Yes.
Takes a photo, and then this is all caught on camera.
Yeah.
By the woman that was like, caught on.
Yeah.
And then she starts saying, "What the fuck did you do?
Yeah.
What are you doing?" And then he's like, obviously denying it. But
yeah,
then
he's like, I didn't do anything. I swear.
Yeah.
But she's like, I just caught you on camera.
Yeah.
And
look,
God. Like.
Yeah. Oh God.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
Like, what are you doing?
Oh God. I mean, oh God.
It's like, guys, we're just looking at the picture. There's like a still frame of like this, but like this video is going viral for all the wrong reasons, I guess you could say. The interesting thing is obviously, so the lady calls this guy out and he's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I swear I wasn't doing anything, blah, blah. And she's like, well, you did. I caught you on camera.
Yeah.
The police were called. It looked like he got escorted out of the store by police.
Yeah.
So the not the moral of the story, but there's a couple things that came out of this. So number one, I think, like, and I think we all are guilty of this, but like, it sounds like the woman kind of like knew. What am I trying to say? I can't talk today, guys. What I'm meaning is just be aware of your surroundings. Like there's so many things where people don't just assume, like people are creepy. And I think this woman was already getting creeped out by this guy. And it's good that there was somebody else that saw what happened. Yeah. But like there was a viral video in Calgary actually that happened where this woman was on the transit. Do you remember this? And some guy was
feeling her hair.
He was like playing with her hair or some shit. And then they like found out about it and she didn't know. Like she was just sitting there and I guess she couldn't feel him doing that to her hair. It's just like try to be
Oh God.
People are fucking creepy. So be aware of your surroundings, guys. Like just keep an eye out of what's going on. Yeah. Because that's fucked up.
Ew.
And then the other thing is, so apparently this guy, this 21-year-old,
it's not his first time.
It wasn't that. So they found out that he's actually like He does like a lot of like volunteer work. So he works with like the church, and he does some stuff with like the school and everything.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's so bad. And like I think like people were saying like, you know, you never know somebody, right? Like you don't know, like, you know, just because they're doing all of this stuff that seems like amazing in this community service and stuff doesn't automatically make them like, you know, not above doing things like this. You know?
Yeah.
So like, I think it'd be a wake
You
up
never
call.
know.
I just don't get.
I know.
I don't understand.
It's like it has to be some kind of a mental illness.
Or like something, or I don't know.
Some kind of a weird kink, mental illness, some kind of trauma. I don't know what it is. It's definitely not normal behavior because like it doesn't make sense, right? Because again, no normal sane person with like a regular, you know, brain would be like, this is the, you know, because it's like, if you think about it, what are you getting out of doing that? You know, you can, porn is free.
Exactly.
You could get, you know, tits and ass, everything.
Exactly.
You don't have to go and like take a picture, but I think they get like a thrill out of doing that to someone that doesn't know what's going on. Like I think that's the whole thing, which is like kind of like disturbing. It
is. The sick thing is, this is not the first time I've heard of a story like this. I remember there was like this controversy or something where there was guys going out to nightclubs and they were like, you know, girls would be dancing on stage. Yeah, and upskirting was like a big thing.
It's like
they would be like taking pictures and stuff. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like
what are you getting out of it? But apparently I think it's like a weird.
It is.
But it's like, what the fuck?
But you're right. I also don't get what people, because you're right. Like, honestly, guys, porn is free.
But again,
I think so many websites.
The entire point is that it's like something where it's like, ooh, it's like a risk. It's like risque. Ugh.
Risque. You could get caught.
Exactly.
Another thing too, like this guy was obviously very cocky doing this. Not that you should ever do this, but doing this in like a full store.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing?
Exactly. Like if I saw somebody doing that to some woman, I would say something. I'll be like, what is going on? What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'll be like, that guy just took a picture up your skirt.
Oh God. Did you know in Japan, because this kind of stuff is like very common.
Yeah.
I at least correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that every phone that they sell in Japan has a automatic shutter sound that you can't take off.
Oh my God.
Something like this, I think, because it's like, and on the trains, they have like women's only sections. I did hear about this. Yeah.
Because what I heard, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard in Japan, part of the reason they had to implement this is, and it does kind of make sense, but like, for example, like, you know, riding, if you guys haven't been to like a really big city and you've ridden, like I use this example as like London, like when you're riding the tube in London during rush hour, like I'm not kidding you when I'm saying I had men and women on top of me basically in the tube, like fucking balls on my leg, fucking, you know, everything. I'm just like, oh my God, you know, people are everywhere. Normally there's no harm in that. Like nobody's like, it's just that there's no space.
Yeah.
But what was happening, I heard in Japan, is a lot of men were like pressing themselves up against
women.
Yes,
that's another very common
they
thing.
would like, there'd be enough space, but they'd be kind of like purposely like, oh, they'd see rows and they'd be like, oh, you know, and they'd be like right up against and like rubbing themselves up against them.
Yeah.
Like their lower half, maybe doing a little bit
ew!
A little like humpage while they're on the train.
Yeah. No, this happens. It happens in Korea too.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how common it is, but I've heard of like ever since I was young. I remember like seeing stuff like this. Like you know. Ugh.
Also, I'm just like, again, what the fuck, guys? Like even if I think somebody's really hot, I'm not gonna go up to them and start humping them on a train. You know, like
can you not hump the air right?
Like, what is this?
Again, I don't think it's normal behavior.
True, but it's happening enough that they had to do separate train carriages.
Well, but I think Japan has a lot of issues. Okay, a lot of issues in that part of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of people like because they have the whole. They're saying people are just not meeting people.
Yeah.
People are not having regular normal sex.
Probably because they're getting turned off by men rubbing themselves up against them in fucking trains.
It's like too much development, all too fast, high pressure society, so many factors. And like Korea's, you know, not that much better. It's actually worse in a lot of cases. But I don't know about these like sort of perverted things. I'm sure there's issues like that in Korea as well.
Well, every country has it.
Yeah. No, but
some
like
form of
these are severe situations. Like Japan, for example, like, you know, again, I think it's like not to excuse any of this behavior, but I think it's like a symptom, it's one of the products of like all of these issues in society that cause people to like not talk to each other enough, and people are very lonely. And
but do you think, and we've talked about this in the podcast before, these issues that are happening in Japan, Korea, some of these other places, I feel like they're ahead of us in terms of like
in a way
in what's happening, because look at like the rise of like the Andrew Tates,
right?
And like the
sure.
disgruntled men, and like women not, wanting, not that they're not wanting relationships, but they're like, as they should, like holding men to higher standards, maybe staying single longer, all this sort of thing is happening slower here.
Sure.
Whereas in Japan and maybe in Korea, it was like more of a fast, because they got
potentially,
like,
we
had this fast. So, and also I guess there's the cultural element though too.
I think there's a huge cultural element, which is why like, as much as Korea and Japan are similar in many ways, it's also very different culturally.
Right.
So I think culturally and just like the way that people behave is very different. So I think that plays a factor as well.
Yeah.
A little bit more of like Japan's a little bit more of like a emotionally repressed, is that the word, society, where I think that people have a harder time expressing emotions, I think. Whereas Korea, it's still a little bit like that, but very different at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say. But all I know is that some people be creepy as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So does this mean if we did a trip to Japan, we'd have to ride on different cars in the train?
No, I think you could choose if you want to go into the women's only. This is what I think.
Right. Okay.
I think there's a women's only thing, or you could go into just a regular one. Right. I don't think there's like a men's only one. I think it's either just women's only, or just a normal like everyone can go in. Oh God.
Like, it's sad that's what's...
I mean, I don't know how bad it is now. It could have been something that was implemented a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it just got kind of like, it just continued. We don't know how bad the Peeping Tom situation is now.
Yeah.
Because now there's also a lot of technology. Like, remember that thing in Japan? It was like a commercial that went viral. And it was like what do you call the thing where it's like a hologram? It was like a hologram girlfriend.
Yes, I do remember this. And you could like, there was people like marrying them and stuff.
Yes, and like the girlfriend will like text you. It's basically like AI, but like as your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it was just so sad because the guy would just be like, "Oh my God!" It clearly like was feeding into the emotion, the loneliness, the kind of, and the guy was like a normal office worker as well. So it like shows that, it's like an office worker that's like lonely, doesn't have, much family or friends.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just so sad. So, but they have a lot more of that kind of technology now, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck is going on. But yeah, you might be right. I mean, this kind of shit might be happening more and more often, more and more in other countries as well.
Yeah.
As we become more and more of a isolated, society.
As we can become more linked to technology, which again, there's pros of technology. I'm never going to I think there's a lot of positive things that have come out of technology. But as we start to remove more and more the societal connections and opt for more like digital ones, like it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah, it definitely.
It's gonna get worse before it gets better.
People are not talking to each other enough. They're not understanding each other. They're not having sex. They be just taking pictures up skirt.
I know. God damn, that'd be scary as all hell.
It's so creepy.
Made me think twice about wearing my skirt shopping. God damn.
My God, that is so fucking disturbing.
I know. Could you imagine? Like,
oh God, I can't.
How would you feel, Rose? You went to the Safeway right now.
So gross.
Wearing this.
Oh.
And then you happen to be like going to bend down to get something, and you like look over, and there's some guy with his fucking camera.
Oh my God, I actually can't.
Like, could you like?
I can't.
I don't know what I would do. I would be so.
It's
mad.
It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
Like, guys, again, there is free porn out there. Fucking watch your free porn, okay? Leave people alone.
Again, these are not normal people, Daniel.
No, I know. I know. I'm just like, God damn.
Oh God. Okay, what's the next story? Okay, so this one, Daniel, would you like to explain the story?
Yes. So this one, it's basically around the women's NBA, so the WNBA. And there was a lot of controversy and scandal that happened, and the main thing is around, we already knew, okay, we know across all sports industry that women typically or always make a lot less than men. But this was really exacerbated, I guess, in this situation. So the number one draft pick, her name is Caitlin Clark, the number one draft pick, signed a contract. I can't remember which, again, I don't know too much about the NBA, but anyway, she signed a contract. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. So she's 22 years old. She's number one draft pick for Women's National Basketball Association. And her starting salary, okay, she signed a 4-year deal. And over the years, it does go up a little bit. But the first year and the second year, I think were kind of similar. And she's making around, I don't know, 76,000 US was the first year. The total for the whole contract, I think, was around 300 and something thousand. And again, people were like, what the fuck? First of
Right.
all, people were saying 76,000 in a lot of states. Like if she's in New York or if she's in like California, like that would qualify you for like social assistance basically
Right.
because of how expensive the cost of living is. And also they contrast it to the NBA, and
which is for men. Yeah.
which is for men. And the number one pick there had a salary of 12 million.
Right.
So they're saying, okay, we get it that the guys, they like, even though it shouldn't be that way, it's not fair, but like the discrepancy, like we're talking, she's not even making 1%
right.
of what her male counterpart's making.
Right.
Which is
insane.
Insanity. And also
Yeah.
people are saying, I guess, women's NBA has been like taking off. They're getting a lot more viewers now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think there's any excuse regardless. I think that
Yeah.
there should be some level of, I get it that male sports is always viewed more.
Yeah.
Like, definitely that's the case. It's a lot more popular.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I think there needs to be some level. I mean, it's the same basic organizations, right?
Yeah.
It's a sports league or whatever the fuck. I don't know anything about sports. Okay, the NBA, the WNBA.
What, Rose? You don't know anything about sports?
I'm sure they're all part of a similar organization, whatever. Okay. But it's like there needs to be some level of, even if it was the case that men were bringing in so much more money, at the same time, it's like we need to support, these, even if it's a smaller scale, like women's sports, right? We're not saying pay them the same amount. Like I get it. Like definitely, there's a lot more money in men's sports, so I understand.
Yeah.
But $76,000 $1,000 a year.
Exactly. Like that's not even a livable salary in a lot of places anymore. Like the sad reality of it is, back in our parents' generation, 76,000 is like, okay, you got a good job, you can get a house, you can do all this shit.
Yeah.
76,000 now a year is just like, it just doesn't cut it, And especially, you're right, that discrepancy of like, yeah, okay, maybe the men's sports draws in more viewers. Maybe, there's more sponsorship and other opportunities in men's sports just because it's on a bigger playing field. But at the end of the day, I don't think, and I could be wrong here, but I don't think that the women's NBA is
so low
right, in contrast where it's like they're not even making like 1%.
Well, it says here that the WNBA is a young league with its first season in 1997 and doesn't have decades of contract negotiations behind it like NBA does. It also has a history of underinvestment, which is another thing that we can talk about, and less sway and worse outcomes in media rights deals. So here's the thing. It's not just the fact that, maybe people are less interested in women's sports. It's the fact that there's just less push to get women's sports out there.
Exactly.
Less investment, which means less like marketing capabilities, less everything, right?
Yeah.
So of course we're not going to be able to see, women's, and again, I don't think we're going to get to a world anytime soon where women's sports are just as big as men's sports.
Yeah.
But when you have such little, investment compared to men's sports,
right,
then of course the women's sports is going to fall behind.
Exactly. And this is like investment from like outside of just like, they could be filling stadiums and stuff, but maybe, it's just, I don't know. It's crazy.
It says it's not as simple as more revenue. So basically, it says Clark is the woman, has helped bring millions of fans. She was a big reason why a record 18.9 million viewers tuned into national championship game. So again, what we talked about as in women's sports doesn't bring in as much.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a factor that is because like we're seeing here.
Yeah.
Clearly, she's so popular that she is bringing in lots of
like 18.9 million viewers. That's huge.
That is huge.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's the argument is simplistic. She said, as women's sports haven't been given the same opportunity as men to earn revenue. It also said somewhere that they get a smaller percentage of revenue as well.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Like, so I don't know.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. So yeah. At least we're talking about it now. I don't know. The NBA's revenues topped 10 billion US for the first time in 2022. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
The WNBA makes about 60 million US.
But that's in broadcast
in
deals.
broadcast deals.
Yeah.
And its season is also half as long as the NBA's.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, god damn. So it doesn't publicly release its revenue numbers. Bloomberg estimated that it earned 200 million in 2023. So it is smaller, obviously, than what's happening in the US. But again, like it's not, I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. I just think that, again, there needs to be more focus on women's sports. And I think that there needs to be some sort of looking at the contracts and making it like a percentage of
like $12 million for the guy.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And I think the controversy too is like, because Clark is particularly like such a good player, has brought in all this extra like people to watch the show, done all this stuff, and she's like number 1 draft pick. That's why the controversy there. They're like the number 1 draft pick of women's
it's not
sports.
just like some random woman.
It's not some woman that's like a last draft pick at the bottom of the barrel, which again, I don't justify any of it, but like, because she's like number 1, people are like, she's only making that. Like, what is going on? You know, like, yeah.
Yeah. And the problem is, like, if you're an athlete, you only have a certain number of years where you can actually make, you know, a decent income, or you can even do it as a career. Yeah. Right? They're usually quite young. You can't do it after a certain time.
Usually it's like people. Once you get into your like mid to late 30s, that's like when you're done.
Exactly. Your bodies and younger people are better and they're stronger. They're able to run longer. So there's a very short window of opportunity for you to make money and do this as a career. Yeah. So if you're making $12 million a year, like the guy is, perfect, you're going to be set for life. You'll be fine. Yeah. Whatever. If you're making $76,000 a year, you're like not okay.
And actually, so I don't know so much about obviously the women's league and stuff, but I remember seeing, I don't know if it was like a documentary or some clips that I saw where basically it was like football players from America. Like they've made, tons of money and, they
had a lot of issues.
They like, so this one guy, he's like in his early 40s, has a couple kids, and his body is literally so fucked up. He's like, I can't even like properly play with my kids. Like he has like tons of like brain damage, all of this stuff. And he was like, honestly, looking back, like, I have this beautiful house and I have all this money, but it's not going to bring me back my body and my life.
And that's the most important thing.
Exactly. So he was like, honestly, like depending on, again, some people are lucky and maybe that doesn't happen to them, but because it's playing at a professional level is like so hard on your body.
Yeah, especially football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of them, even tennis, all these sports that people are playing to that professional level, like, again, that's part of the reason why you can't do it for very long, because your body can only take so much.
Right.
And then when you're done, like your body is generally fucked.
Yeah. Well, you think for all sports?
For a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, for example.
But especially football.
Oh, yeah.
And
football,
maybe hockey.
Rugby.
Yeah.
Hockey. I say tennis because a lot of tennis players, they'll have severe like shoulder issues.
Oh, right.
Knee issues because they're like constantly like, so they have a lot of shit too.
Right.
They might not have like the body checks and stuff, but like they'll have like a lot of shoulder back problems, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
God damn, Daniels. So don't do sports
no,
from a professional level.
I know. I think I don't know. Yeah.
What about gymnastics?
I think that'd still be hard on your body, Roses.
It's probably really hard on your body.
Throwing your body
I wonder
everywhere.
how much gymnastics people make, because that's like a woman-led sport.
Why don't we Google?
Let's go.
Top gymnast, top Canadian gymnast.
Not Canadian. Canadians make no money regardless.
Top world gymnast. You're right. Canadians make like nothing.
Top USA.
Oh yeah, sure.
Gymnast. Salary. Have you heard of her?
Yeah, I have. She was the one.
She's very famous.
She was the famous one that didn't end up going to the Olympics or something because she was like suffering from mental health. Was it?
Oh shit. Okay, so she was the 8th highest paid female athlete, making roughly $10 million as of December 2022.
So that's over a couple of years. I don't think that's a per year. Right?
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh yeah, at least $5 million annually in endorsements.
Right. Okay.
Interesting.
But that's endorsements too. That's not how much she's getting paid salary.
Yeah, so I guess it's a bit different with gymnasts. I have no idea how that works.
I think also it depends. Like, for example, if you get into a sport and maybe you do really well, or maybe you don't do that well, but people like notice you because like maybe you're really hot,
right?
Or whatever.
Then you get like sponsorships.
Exactly. And you get all these brand deals and all this stuff. So you might make a shit ton of money from that.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't become as successful in the sport. You know what I mean? Like I know, like for example, like there was a famous tennis player. She ended up dating. I think she's married now to Enrique Iglesias. But do you remember? Her name was like Anna Kournikova, I think it was.
Oh yeah, I've heard of her.
And she was like probably not the most successful tennis player.
But she was hot.
But because she was hot, she got like she was in like music videos and like
she was quite famous.
Yeah, and all this stuff during like a certain period of time, and she would have probably had tons of endorsements and like that's where she made her money. So
yeah. So that's where you got to pivot.
Exactly. You gotta
be hot and pivot.
You gotta diversify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
damn.
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. If I had a son or something, I would not want him to play rugby, football, stuff like that.
Well, and they were saying for football specifically, well, and probably this would be the same in rugby and stuff too. But
what's the difference? Isn't football rugby and rugby football, or is it different?
They're different sports, Rose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. What's the difference?
There's big differences, okay?
Yeah? What's the difference?
So, I mean, I'm not a sports person. So, like, I think rugby, you, like, throw the ball sideways and you, like, throw it to each other like this and you're all, like, running and blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
Whereas football, you have, like, the team, the offense, and you have the quarterback, and then you have the person that, like, goes, like, huh, and throws the ball to the quarterback. The quarterback makes the play, throws it to the person.
So you just throw it differently?
Yes. Essentially. Obviously, there's other... And in rugby, you have, like, scrimmages or whatever they're called. I can't remember.
And we're talking about American football here, okay?
Yes.
Because everywhere else in the world, football is soccer.
Yes, which makes more sense.
Which makes a lot more sense.
Because,
why is it called football?
Yes, because American football is... when you're in Europe, they say, like, soccer, that we consider soccer, is football.
Yeah.
And then
rugby is rugby.
Rugby is rugby. And then football, like American style, the football we think of, they call it American football.
Ah, do they play American football?
There's some American football in, like, but it's not big. It's not like
rugby is a lot bigger.
Rugby
in the UK, for example.
Rugby's huge.
Rugby
in Europe.
They call it rugby.
Rugby. And then also, obviously, the biggest sport in all of Europe by far
is football.
Like,
which is soccer.
Hands down. Like,
hands down.
Diehard fans.
I mean, soccer is just like probably the biggest. Actually, I have no idea.
No, I think it is the most watched sport.
Yeah,
in the
I think
world.
it's the most watched sport in the world. It's actually funny because there was like a viral kind of like TikTok thing going around where people would ask Americans, because you know sometimes, guys, love you all, but some Americans think America's the center of the universe.
Yeah.
And they've like never left and whatever. So they would ask Americans, so what do you think is the most watched sport in the world? Or sporting event? And everyone, well, not everyone, I'm sure they picked the ones that were saying this, but so many people said Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then they would be like, of course it's a Super Bowl. It can't be anything else. And they, like, without realizing that this is like very American.
Yeah.
Like outside of America, I mean, maybe Canada watches Super Bowl because Canada does everything that America's fucking doing.
Yeah.
But other than America and Canada, most people don't like give a shit about the Super Bowl. Not that much anyways. At least not, it's not even close to, like, for example, the World Cup.
Oh yeah. The World Cup. The World Cup. Yeah. It's like,
they showed the numbers.
Yeah. It's actually insane because you have to remember too, you're right. With the Super Bowl, it's like America, maybe Canada, maybe some diehard sports fans in other countries.
Totally.
But when you think of the World Cup, think of, because we talk about Europe, because obviously football, soccer is huge in Europe. But let's not forget about Latin America.
Yeah, it's
Brazil,
huge.
Argentina.
Brazil's obsessed with,
all those countries are obsessed
even
with football.
Even in Asia. Asians also love soccer.
Exactly. So it's such a huge, and in Africa as well, many countries in Africa.
Yeah, yeah.
It's such a big sport, whereas American football outside of America, like, there might be a few things you can play and stuff, but like really it's not the big thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy when you think of it like that. It's like, whoa. You know what I mean? God damn.
Anyways, pay the women more.
Exactly.
Lower
They need to be paid more. They need to be equal. I mean, maybe not. They need to figure out some kind of metric, right? Like some kind of metric that's based on maybe revenue, that's based on viewership, that's based on a number of different factors to calculate like what these salaries are. And also, guys, like, let's be honest here. Let's call a spade in terms of like the fact that these players' salaries, and probably people are going to hate me for saying this, but like they're starting to get a little ludicrous.
I mean, starting
in
to.
The men's.
They are absolutely ludicrous.
Like, we're talking, there's football players out there, soccer players that are signing like
ridiculous deals,
like $100 million contracts. You know, like unfathomable amounts of money. And it's like, they're just playing a sport. And I know it's a big sport and people like care about it, but like, come on.
I know. This is what kills me. It's like, again, I get it. People like their sports. I'm not saying we shouldn't like sports. Do whatever you want.
Exactly.
But you know how we always have these conversations about like, influencing is not a real job. How could they possibly make this much money? Well, what about fucking like athletes?
Exactly.
Why is that a real job? Why is someone making videos online? Why is that not a real job? Why have we decided that a guy that throws around a football and runs around
makes like,
it deserves like tens of millions of dollars a year?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, why?
Again,
it's all capitalism. I understand. I'm not, hating on the athletes.
Yeah.
Good for them. But also, like, fucking hell.
Well, that's the thing. I always say this, like, don't hate the player, hate the game. It's
exactly.
It's like the same, like last episode, I think it was, we talked about like billionaires and, why, really we shouldn't,
why we hate them all.
why we hate them, but also they've become a billionaire in a society that we all allow. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that
we allow
created.
it. Exactly.
So like part of it is like, yeah, shame on them, but like not really. They're playing the game, right?
Oh, totally.
A big part of it is like we should question, why as a society we've created a society that allows people to amass
accrue,
that amount of wealth. Like that's where the issue is, because if the society didn't allow that, we wouldn't have it.
Exactly.
Right? If there was
totally.
a cap or there was some kind of control, like
Yeah.
Again, it wouldn't happen, and the world would be a better place.
Mm-hmm. And similar thing with like women, predominantly women jobs. God, what's the word? Predominantly female jobs.
Right.
Or, jobs where it's like majority women.
Yeah.
They're always paid so much significantly less.
It's brutal.
And there's such important jobs.
Yeah.
Nursing, for example. Teachers.
Yeah.
Teachers are paid nothing.
I know.
And we're talking about like some of the most important jobs. Caretakers.
Yeah.
Nannies.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Like,
Yeah.
why are we not paying people enough? And instead, we're paying guys that are fucking selling cryptocurrency, or they're making so much money.
Like ridiculous amounts of money.
Just by moving around some money.
Exactly. Well, it's same with like, they're talking about the hedge funds and stuff. And
Right.
A lot of hedge funds, they'll like bet against companies and they'll like drive companies into the ground basically.
And they're literally gambling.
Yeah. And they're making so much money.
So much money.
And people are like, what value are they creating for society?
Literally
Really?
nothing.
Other than increasing
Their own revenue
Yeah.
and the money of their, I don't know, clients
Yeah.
and whatever. And somehow we've decided that these are the jobs that we, deem worthy. Like, oh my
Exactly.
God, he's an investment banker. Oh my God,
Ooh.
he's a fucking hedge fund manager or whatever the fuck.
God
And
damn.
we're like, oh my God, this guy like somehow deserves all this money.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, I hate it.
I know. It's the dumbest thing ever.
It's the fucking dumbest thing ever.
We should recreate society, Rose.
We should. So this is a random story.
Mm-hmm.
4 Germans caught marking Hitler's birthday outside the Nazi dictator's birthplace. So 2 sisters and their partners in their 20s and early 30s posed in front of the house. So I guess Hitler's birth house.
Yeah.
Okay. For photos. And one of the women gave the stiff-armed... Why do they write like this? Oh, God. Anyways.
The stiff-armed Hitler
Yeah.
salute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought, okay. Yeah. So one of them gave the you guys know the salute. I will not do it. The Nazi.
The famous one.
The famous one
Yeah.
where you have your arm and it's straight and it's pointed in a 45-degree angle.
And then don't you hold up like 3 fingers or something?
I don't really know exactly.
I can't remember.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't know. I thought it was just...
I could be making up some bullshit here.
So anyways, a bunch of Nazis, I guess.
Yeah. Well, 4 Germans were caught laying white roses in memory of Adolf Hitler at the house where the Nazi dictator was born in Western Austria on the anniversary of his birthday.
He was born in Western Austria.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one gave the salute as they posed for pictures.
Wow. Great.
So
Gotta love humans. He was born April 20th, 1889. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess some people are still worshiping Hitler.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. There's still people out there that
Nazis.
are
Yeah.
Nazi, white supremacy, all that sort of thing. Like
God.
it still exists very much so. Like groups that are like
that's true.
like this, and it's bad. I mean, this reminds me a little bit of the story where not exactly. Obviously, this is like a little bit more extreme because these are people that are obviously celebrating Hitler, and like we all know what happened when Hitler was around. Like, not a good situation.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of like people. Actually, I lost my train of thought, guys. I don't know where I was going with this, but anyway, the story's fucked up. I was like thinking. I was like, I had an idea.
You had a thought,
and then
it disappeared.
That thought just left my brain. Like a lot of things.
So I guess they were taken to the police station for questioning because I assume that maybe the salute, the Nazi thing, and doing Nazi-like activities is probably illegal to some degree.
Well, it's
like a hate crime, maybe.
It is. So the police said that they were reporting all four to prosecutors on suspicion of violating the Austrian law that bans the symbols of Nazism.
Oh, I see.
Right? And obviously Hitler's very entrenched in that. So if you're doing like Hitler-esque things, like that's not a positive thing. God, what is wrong with people?
I don't know. It's like, why?
Exactly. Like,
just live your life.
Yeah.
Let people live their lives.
And like the crazy thing is, like, we all know what happened when Hitler was around.
Yes.
We all got, taught this through the atrocities that happened and everything else. And like, there's not any ounce of anybody that should be like doing this sort of stuff.
Yeah, but people are fucked up, Daniel.
I know, this is so true.
Okay. So they think that whatever he did was the right thing or whatever it is.
Like the ethnic cleansing and everything.
Yeah.
That was what was supposed to happen.
It's still happening right now.
I know, that's true.
So, I mean, I wouldn't put it past the human race.
This is true.
Oh, I do have one thing I want to talk about. So, on TikTok right now. God, TikTok. What a platform.
Oh, God.
One thing that's like trending.
We need to get off that.
I know. It's so fucking toxic. But also so like good at the same time.
I know, there's such funny
Why do I
things
love
on there.
it? So one of the things that's been trending lately is apparently trad wife content. Do you know what trad wife is?
No, like a traditional
I think it's
wife?
traditional wife. I think that's what it stands for. So essentially a housewife. But in like a traditional sense, in a sense that, the expectation is that the wife stays home, takes care of the kids, does the housework. The husband is the provider, works, provides for the family. And it's been quite interesting because it's becoming kind of popular in a way. Like people are kind of like romanticizing this idea because like I'm seeing more and more women being like, oh, I want like a provider man. So a guy that basically pays for everything. And it's really interesting because like they're not like necessarily traditional women in that sense.
Do you think because I'm just thinking out loud about this. This is the first I've heard of this. Clearly this content doesn't come up on my feed yet. It will though, because we've talked about it now, so it's going to come up on my feed.
Oh God.
But it's interesting because I wonder if this is happening for the reason, because like right away what thought came to my head is like some women are with their partners working full time.
Sure.
And have that expectation to keep the house, and they're like overwhelmed and they're like, this is ridiculous. I just want a man that's going to pay for everything. I don't have to work and I can just stay at home, because right now the man is not helping them.
Yes. So I think a part of it is that, which is why I think it's interesting, because it's not necessarily women that are saying, oh, I want like a traditional gender role situation. But I think the reason why, women are saying, oh, I want like a guy that like pays for everything is because they're seeing the inequalities of, the amount that they put into a relationship versus the man. So at least they can get compensated financially for.
Hey, and you know what? The thing is, if it worked, I'd be on board. I'd say, you know what? Hey, if I'm out there and I meet a spouse and they want to pay for everything and they have a really good job and I don't have to work, but I have to keep a home, for example.
Sure.
That's my responsibility and that's my thing that I'm doing in the relationship. Okay, fine. But we all know the reality of that is that person that is, and I don't want to paint this in a huge way, but no matter what, the person that holds the money controls the power, right? So whatever way you like it might start out fine, but like if you want to buy certain things, like I'm just thinking about it myself, like let's say I want to go shopping, or I want to, meet you somewhere. I want to go to London. I want to do XYZ. And it's like, I have to ask for money. I have to be, and there's that control element to it no matter what, like, cause if you're keeping the house, as much as you are like, hey, we're equal partners, you're earning the living to provide and I'm keeping our house together. We're equal in this. You're not seen as an equal. The person that's the guy that's like paying for everything, he thinks
the money is seen as power.
And this is the problem. If it was an equal playing field, either way, it's like, okay, if both people work and both people contribute to the household, we're balanced, But if one person works and one person keeps the household, you're still balanced just because you're working full time, but you don't have to pack your lunch. You don't have to do any of that stuff. It's like, no. I'm doing a lot for you. They
should get paid.
Exactly. This is an equal partnership, but it's never seen that way.
I know it's never seen that way. And I will add to that for sure. It's a power issue for sure. And I just think you're relying so much on this partner that you don't know what's going to happen. 50% of marriages end in divorce. What are you going to do if your partner decides, oh, actually, not interested anymore, or something happens? Again, you could also be in an abusive situation. And if you don't have money, if you don't have your independence, you can't leave. So it's a huge risk. So like, I understand, I totally get like the appeal and I get it. Like if it worked, it would be great.
It's like one of those things. It's like communism. It's like in theory,
it's great.
It sounds like it could be a really good thing, but always in practice, it doesn't work out that way. And maybe, maybe there's
not always in practice, most of
majority
the time in practice.
There's probably some couples that have
work.
it down. Exactly. But we just know from like our own, like,
I just would feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
With not having my own income or my own money, my own something, which is why I think if I were to be in some kind of, if, like, again, I'd be happy to not work. Okay. Yeah. But if I'm keeping the house, I think there should be some level of a salary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I get that they're paying for it, but at the same time, how am I protected?
Yeah.
If like at least the man is working, the man is, building his career, the man is doing all these other things, and he has everything under his name.
Yeah.
And while I'm keeping the house that is under his name, for example.
Yeah.
And then like if we divorce, and apparently, so I saw this other video where because like, all this trad wife stuff is like kind of popping off on TikTok, they're obviously talking about all the like nice things. And a lot of people that are talking about this trad wife stuff are like young as well. And you're like, and some people are like, well, where are the women that are like in their 50s and living this trad wife life? Because, I would like to hear their stories. And there was this one woman that I guess like also there's an element of like religiousness as well into it. So she was like Mormon. And she was married for like, I don't know, 20 something years. This man living this trad wife life, and the man was rich and like she was living the life. Right. Yeah. And one day he like has an affair, meets a much younger woman, leaves the wife and the kids.
Typical cliche.
And then the wife has nothing.
Yeah.
And so people are like, didn't you get alimony and stuff? And apparently I would definitely, like it's hard to rely on something like alimony because you just never know, what's going to happen. The guy's going to have a better lawyer than you because you don't have any fucking money.
Exactly.
So you don't know how protected you are.
Exactly. And also the issue too is if you are a is it a chat? Not a Chad wife. Trad wife. It sounds like Chad. I was like, Chad wife? What is this? But if you're a trad wife, and let's say you live that life for years, okay? And the same thing. You start now. Let's say I met somebody at 35. They just paid for everything. I was like, cool, I'll keep the house, whatever. Fast forward. So I haven't worked a day after 35.
Yes, that's another thing.
Until I'm 55. And now, I mean, technically I still have about another 10, 15 years before I can retire.
Yeah.
And potentially, well, not potentially, I've been out of the workforce for 20 years.
Yep.
Now
I have
no experience. I'm going to try to re-enter the workforce with no knowledge.
Yeah.
Because it's 20 years. A lot changes in 20 years.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to re-enter.
And you're older and it's hard when
exactly.
you're older
it's harder
to get hired.
Exactly. Especially if you don't have the experience. This is the thing. If you're 55 and you have shit tons of experience behind you, okay, fine. It's still harder to get a job.
Re-entering the workforce.
Yeah. At that age with limited to no experience. And this is the thing too. My questions going back to that as well is, okay, because another big part of life is like you should be planning for retirement. And like, okay, if I'm a trad wife, like, or husband, is my partner, am I setting up an RRSP for myself that he's contributing into? Like there has to be all of these discussions. Like it can't just be this one side thing. And honestly, nowadays that person has to be on a fucking high salary.
Yeah.
And there's not that many jobs. Like there are jobs obviously in business entrepreneurs and people making that much, but like we're talking like they've got to earn
so much money.
Like even in Calgary, like probably at least 200K.
Yeah.
If not more.
200K. That's nothing.
Yeah.
To take care of the entire household. No. Anyways,
like 200, 250.
200K.
200 at the minimum. I'm saying at the minimum.
Yeah.
And like most people that are on 200K are probably pretty senior at a company.
Right.
So it's kind of crazy.
I know.
The wild as hell.
It's crazy. I do think it's like, I think there's an element of the fact that women are feeling overwhelmed with everything. And also it's just like this whole late stage capitalist world where, we're tired from working, like a lot of people are just like, I don't want to work anymore. Yeah. So I think there's an element of that where we're just like exhausted. We don't want to work. Yeah. And how nice would it be to have a man just taking care of everything for you?
Exactly. Well, and it's exacerbated by the fact that now people are having to do 2 jobs.
Yeah,
people are having to do like, all this other stuff. And you're right. I think people are thinking, yeah, how nice it would be not to have to work.
Yeah, but it's like,
but the reality of that, and taking a step
Yeah.
back. I mean, maybe when we were in our early 20s, we thought differently, but it's like we see through life the reality of that, the implications of relying on one person.
Oh God, I could never. Exactly.
That's the big thing. It's like
Relying
that
on one
reliance.
person.
Yeah, you got to be an independent bitch.
Yeah, you got to be an independent woman. Okay.
I think where this should go, instead of the trad wife, it should go the other way, where it's like, okay, we're working, we're keeping the house. Instead of a trad wife, it should be equal husband. That should be the trend, you know?
Equal husband.
Yes.
Yes.
And have a TikTok that goes off with husbands being like, not being asked to load the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Just doing it. Helping out. Cleaning things.
Yeah.
Picking things up. I don't get it. It's not that hard. I mean, it's annoying. I fucking hate always cleaning and, keeping my house.
God, yeah.
But I can do it.
I know.
And like, if you know what, mark my words, guys, if I start dating somebody and they move in with me, they're helping me with the fucking housework.
You heard it here, folks.
You heard it.
You heard it here. Anyway,
God
guys,
damn.
let us know what you guys think of any of the stories we talked about today.
Yep.
What do you think? Would you like to be a trad wife? Would you like to bake cookies all day and just play with your children?
Would you like to be a
Why can't you say
trad? Because it sounds like Chad.
Trad wife, Daniel.
Okay, so do you want to be a trad wife or an equal husband? Which one, guys? Which one do you think we should lean towards as a society?
Oh God. Anyway, guys, let us know in the comments if you're watching on YouTube what you think of this video and any of the stories we covered. Make sure you thumbs up this video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And if you are listening on whatever podcast platform, make sure you follow us so that you get notified of new episodes.
Yep.
Give us a rating, okay? 5 stars. And what else, Daniels?
Obviously, guys, if you're not already, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thesavagepodcast. You get all of our content a week before everybody else, exclusive content on there every single month, and it's all ad-free.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.